welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hello, guys.
So tonight we are going to review another cult classic called The Return of the Living Dead, which was a bit of a franchise. With,
started the franchise.
Yeah, started as a franchise with several sequels that backed it up.
Well, okay, it was. The first movie was done in 1985. It's a comedy horror film. Yes, it was one of 5 films. This is the pilot movie, if you want, or part 1, or movie 1,
yeah,
or whatever you want to call it.
And before you ask me, guys, I don't think it is a sequel to the Night of the Living Dead other Dead franchise.
No. It's a totally different thing. They just use the words Living Dead.
They did in the first movie. The first movie we're going to be mentioning, they did mention George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead several times, including Easter eggs, I should mention, here and there.
I love Easter eggs.
Of course, this movie doesn't necessarily... These movies do not always 100% follow the pinpoints of those movies because they go in a different direction.
Well, they've got nothing to do with Romero. However, I would actually say...
Here it comes, guys. Go on.
That didn't the what's his name? The guy who worked with Romero and the other guy were working together.
Yeah.
And they broke away with each other and did their own different companies. So yeah.
Russo.
Russo. And they sort of did their own things, but sort of similar, but not the same. Yeah,
Yeah, well, they kind of reconcile, or not reconcile, I mean, finally agree that these guys, they can have the Living Dead, but George still has his own, can keep the Night of the Dead. I mean...
Yeah, here it is. Russo and Romero parted ways after Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. Russo retained the rights to any titles featuring Living Dead, while Romero was free to create his own series or sequels, beginning with Dawn of the Dead. So, yeah, they went a slightly different tangent, but yeah.
Of course, we've reviewed in the past, there is like lots of movies that use the term so-and-so of the dead, or Living Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
Like, and Dance of the Dead. And Detention of the Dead, which we've reviewed previously, too.
Politicians of the Dead, no?
So, in other words, it has not been unnoticed by the media or by fans that there has been, like, a lot of people using the zombie title over and over and over in those movies.
But then you get good spin-offs like World War Z. There you go.
Don't go there.
That Romero didn't like, no.
Yeah. Well, we might review it. Who knows?
One day,
we'll give it a chance. We'll try.
I liked it. Anyway.
Go on.
No, what?
Anyway, so let's go into who directs...
Who did what to who.
So you guys know, the first one came out in 1985. The next one after that, which is a sequel, was 1988. And the next one came out in 1993.
Then I had a break.
The last two are both released probably at the same year, 2005.
Exactly. And
there's going to be... There's reports about an upcoming one that might be coming out soon. I'm not sure because it didn't... It's still in the planning stage at the moment.
What I'm going to say is the last two, number 4 and 5, are actually telemovies. Where the other ones weren't telemovies. So obviously a bit of a reboot, maybe. Hey? Yeah.
Yes, roughly.
Let's get some mileage out of it. Yeah. Whatever.
Get the motor running.
Now, okay, I've got lots of figures here and names and stats and things on all 5 movies. I'll concentrate on the main movie, but I'll refer to the other ones as well for good reasons. Now, the first movie and the second movie were produced by Tom Fox. Okay.
Right.
Okay, directed by Dan O'Bannon, and the screenplay was by Dan O'Bannon. Now, then, here we go. The production company or producers changed for number 3, to Lawrence Mayers, Brian Usner, Gary Schmoller.
Yeah, Brian Usner. I think he worked on Reanimator with Stuart Gordon.
Okay, Gary Schmoller and John Penny. Now, the last 2, 4 and 5 were company jobs for the TV station, so I don't know who actually produced them. So, now, getting back on to directed by...
Yes.
So, Dave O'Bannon did the first one, then Ken Wiederhorn did the second one, Brian Usner did number 3, and Ellery Elkayem did 4 and 5 for the TV productions. I won't go into too much more. Screenplay. Yeah, O'Bannon did the first screenplay, Ken Wiederhorn did the second one, John Penn did the third, and the fourth and fifth were done by William Butler and Aaron Stragoni. There you go then. Now, the money aspect of it. Show me the money! Okay, interesting this. I think the first movie was a good movie, and possibly not necessarily the best. Okay, but I think it was the best. But yeah, but the figures don't actually show it quite easily because there's some aren't here. But here we go. The Return of the Living Dead, the first movie, it was made on a budget of $4 million. And it made 14. So box office, not too bad. Return of the Living Dead, Part 2, was done on a budget of $6 million and only made $9 million. Okay. Number 3 was made for $2 million and supposedly box office at 54,000. Right. So, oops. Okay. So something went wrong. Whether it had a short season and went straight to television, DVDs or tapes or what, I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, duh. And the other two there, there's no real figures. The fourth movie, Necropolis, had a budget of $6 million, made it for TV, and I don't know what the other budget was for the last movie. Bugger. Anyway. Cast. I'm only doing the cast for the first movie. And I only do the main ones. Now, Clu Gallagher plays Bert Wilson. He's a business partner. A bit of a problem solver type guy. It starts off with his counterpart. His other business partner played by James Karen. He plays Frank Johnson. And he's got a young person called Tom Matthews playing Freddie Hanscom. Yeah,
I should mention that you may know him from Friday the 13th, and you may know him through Never Hike Alone, the film, the tribute fan film called that's taken from Friday the 13th, obviously. So it's kind of great to see him back playing. Well, not really back, because this is back in the 1980s when he was much of a young man, obviously. So it's great to see a movie with him starring in it. All right, go on.
Oh, goody. Thank you. Now, before we go on, one other person. Don Calfa plays Ernie Kaltenbrunner. He's a mortuary guy who comes in and helps me out a little bit, sort of. Now, it's really funny here. Bert... Yeah, played by Clu Gallagher, and Don Caffer's role, it's Bert and Ernie. Now, I was wondering whether they were friends. I've known each other for years. Man. I was wondering whether someone was going poking a bit of fun at, here we go.
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street, Bert and Ernie. And I'm going, maybe? Yeah, whatever. Quite funny that. Just a little thing, you know.
Well, I know people can be called Bert. I know that
but Bert and Ernie in the same movie.
Ernie, duh, obviously.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. Quite funny that.
It is a bit funny seeing it in the same movie too.
Anyway, I won't go into too much more here, but I think James Karen and Tom Matthews played in the second movie as well.
They did.
Because they worked so good together. The chemistry was so good. So.
Apart from the chemistry, the distributors, who were a Japanese company, they wanted the two actors to reappear in the sequel, even though it doesn't... as different characters, obviously. Yeah,
I know, because the other ones died in the first movie.
Yes.
But they came in there in different roles, but they worked they're funny working together. That's why they like them.
Yeah.
There's good chemistry.
And the fact their characters have the same fate again.
They're zombified. Anyway, do you want to start telling a short tale of the first movie?
Sure thing. So the story begins with a bunch of people who are, in a small town, obviously. And in this small town, there's a place where it's sort of a store that supplies laboratory equipment, gear, like animal and...
Well, it's called Unida Medical Supply Warehouse.
Yes. So it's for universities or just laboratories, stuff like that.
Hospitals, stuff. Yeah.
And when the young guy, named Freddie, I think it was, he's told about this container in the basement.
Yeah, Frank's telling him all this stuff, trying to scare him a little bit. We got little cadavers down here in the fridge and stuff. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they have cadavers in the fridge, which play a very big part in this project.
Well, it's not really going to bring him back to life, hey.
Yeah. Also, they have a sort of old graveyard in the same area as they are, obviously.
Across the road or next door almost. Yeah. And actually it's quite handy. The mortuary's right next to the graveyard. It's all in one place. Clever. Really handy.
Anyway,
with the camera crew.
So Freddie and him go down the basement to check this container out, which has U.S. Army do not touch, blah blah blah. And of course, while rattling around in it, there is some steam that comes from it.
Frank's saying, Freddie says, hey, is it safe? And Frank says, yeah, it's safe. There's solid things there. Bang. And he bangs it, and it breaks the seal because it's a bit corroded. And, I get paint tins like that in my shed,
Yeah. Anyway, then the stuff comes out, and they pass out.
And they both breathe it in and stuff, too.
And they pass out from it. And later on, we find some other people, like... a gang, obviously, who will go to the graveyard to party, I guess, and wait for their friend Freddie to hang out, drink some beer, smoke some crap, have sex and
whatever.
stuff. All the usual stuff you young kids get up to these days.
I used to get up to it, I think. I can't remember that long time ago.
Yeah. Anyway, so let me see. They then find out when the guys finally wake up. They finally go upstairs and they find the cadaver and some of the dead animals that were used for, dissecting.
Yeah, the mummified or the dead ones,
or taxidermy. Anyway, and they come to life, and of course they realize that they need to dispose of the cadaver before it starts creating some noise.
You can't kill any.
They try to do it the old-fashioned way, where you just stab it in the head, but it doesn't work. Not even decapitation either.
No.
It walks around or tries to run around headless.
Yeah, like a chicken. Yeah, if you cut a chicken's head off, they keep running around, don't they?
Yeah. They thought that destroying the head would mean that it would just naturally die or pass out or whatever.
I would. I'm sure I would fall over if someone cut my head off. I'm certain of it.
So they go to their friend next door who's a funeral director guy, whatever.
Yeah, that's Ernie.
And
hi, Bert. Sorry.
Funny.
Sorry.
Anyway, they then, after a bit of coaxing and try to explain to him, we're just trying to burn some leftover rubbish something.
We need to get rid of.
But they show it to him, and then he's kind of, oh gosh.
No, he said, you owe me big time.
You owe me big time. So they put the stuff into the furnace.
The crematorium thing, yeah.
And as it's, they think it's all over and stuff like that. But then some new stuff starts happening where the smoke from the crematorium starts burning up, and then
it comes out the chimney.
And it starts affecting the rain.
The rain, it's in the sky, it's in the air, and then it starts raining, and the rainwater picks up the chemicals in the smoke, and the rainwater puts it down onto the ground on top of the graves, and it's a really heavy downpour, so... As one would appreciate, the water soaks down into the graves, and guess what? Wakey!
The dead arise, and the kids start freaking out, naturally. And I should mention, in these zombie movies, the zombies do speak. Then they do say they say the famous catchphrase.
Brains.
Brains. I've been wondering which zombie movie would have come up with it. Now I know it's probably these movies that may have
I think this
come
might
up
have
with.
been the start of the Brains bit where they were talking. And actually, I remember seeing a Night of the Living Dead thing in Simpsons.
Yeah, I remember.
And they came up to Homer, and they're going,
Brains.
Brains. Come up to him, look at him, and just walked away.
Yeah, no brain whatsoever.
I thought it was so cute.
Or too small to even notice.
No brain. They just blinked at him and walked off.
Yeah.
I thought it was rather cute.
It was adorable. Anyway,
Poor Homer.
So anyway, they have to face off these zombies. They also face the one that was in the canister, and it's a really creepy one, which becomes world famous on Facebook.
Tarman.
Yeah, Tarman.
Well, look like gooey and sloping and horrible.
I also have a T-shirt with Tarman with Elvira, which kind of has it's an interesting portrait look to it. But I won't go into details.
Yeah.
Anyway, so our heroes fight against these Zeds, obviously, and of course, they keep trying to phone in and try to get an ambulance in to help their friends who got breathed in the toxic gas stuff at the beginning. They're starting to grow pale and looking
not
gross.
feeling very well. Yeah.
Yes, and they call an ambulance, and of course they check their bodies out, and they find that they don't have a pulse, or
Well, these guys are clinically dead, but still alive and talking. You know, okay.
True. They go to the to their ambulance again, and they get attacked. And the next moment, one of the zombies says, "Call." And
the two-way radio contacts Ambo, and one of the zombies picks up the walkie-talkie bit and says, "Send no more ambulances," whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, he does that, and there is also
talking smart zombies.
Yeah, as I said before, these Zeds are not to be messed with. Anyway, this goes on for quite a bit. You know, that particular comedy relief, meaning the Zeds are in control in this one.
They're a bit smarter. This is quite funny. Normally they walk around, I'm an idiot. Yeah. And they move a little bit faster, don't they?
Oh yeah, and unlike the usual Zeds where you could just shoot them in the head, in this one the head is. Well, they're just involved. They're not. There's no weakness at this point.
Yeah.
It's no. This unless it's
so
not.
You shoot like normal or bullets out of place. Something's bound to give. You know.
Anyway, they run around. The heroes try to run around a bit, and of course, the two guys who've been affected, Freddy and his friend, they soon turn to Zeds, and we get a lot of chase scenes throughout this movie. Now, of course, they go down to the basement, and they will decide to phone the military and try to get them to help them. Of course, they phone them up and say, "We have a big Zed problem." And of course, what do?
Oh, I'm not going to say it.
Well, I'll answer your question. The answer is the general guy, suggests, we'll just bomb the hell out of them.
We didn't say, put plan so-and-so in operation. Yeah, and it was a small nuclear device dropped on the town. Yeah.
And then we hear the general saying, "It's all cleared up. Good. Now we'll let the rain, wash it all grime away."
And you get a very similar shot to the beginning shot where the rain is going through the ground down to the graves. And you go, okay, round two.
Round
exactly
two
right.
is correct.
Very
and
good.
as I said before, this is the first time, well, not the first time I've seen a zombie movie where it ends with everyone getting killed, obviously.
But that's reminiscent of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because the whole town sank or whatever into the hellhole or whatever.
Yeah.
So everyone who was left in the town, whatever it's called,
if it got,
gobbled up into the hell gate or something or other.
Yeah. No one ever followed that one, did they? They never even assumed that they...
There's an old movie I'd like to possibly review and have you do a remake of myself. I'm independent. And it's called This Is Not a Test. And it's about some people back in the 50s, about atomic blast, and they weren't allowed to go into a town because there was an emergency, and they're waiting outside, and then right at the end of the movie, the atomic blast went off, and they thought, we'll take shelter in this van, so if anything happens, we won't be hurt. It took the van out and all the trees and everything, so everybody in the movie were toast. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
so
really good.
That's the first one. So moving on to the next one, which is
We'll skip
in
over some of the details of
1988.
it, will we?
So, who
Yeah.
directed that one again?
Well, number 2, what's behind door number 2? Okay, Tom Fox produced number 2, but a guy called Ken Wiederhorn did the directing, and he actually wrote the screenplay for number 2. There you go.
So we continue where we left off again, like in this one, where in this one we have, of course, Thomas Matthews and the James Karen return as different characters, but still getting up to their old mischief.
Exactly. They're grave robbers. They're stealing heads and stuff and selling them to people who do satanic rites and stuff. Well, he makes good money, and I think the older guy, whatever his role is in it, is taking the jewellery off and selling the jewellery as well. So there you go then.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, a bunch of other little kids are actually checking out. I should mention, in the opening bit to the movie, you see the tanks on the back of on the army trucks kind of falls off and rolls into the water.
Yeah, and it ends up in the storm water. Yeah, they
Yeah.
drain. Yeah, and the kids go down there and they find it.
Yeah, and one of the kids wants to notify authorities, but the other kids stuff him into a mortuary.
Yeah.
And they start feeling around with it, and they kind of get a dose of the gas. And
they'll let the tar man out again, eventually.
Yeah. Anyway, it's then throughout this movie, it's the same stuff. Kid doesn't get no one listens to the kid throughout. They think he's just a little creep.
Yeah, his sister's his sister's a real bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't like her.
Anyway, they eventually fight off the Zeds, and of course, in this one, the military do come in and they try to quarantine the entire town or area, because I'm not sure if anyone gets out, because either some people
I think some people might have got out, and then they did a lockdown, I think, at the end.
Yeah, probably.
So didn't they have trouble getting out then?
Yeah, because in one scene, they try to go over a bridge, but there's barbed wire and an army squad there, and they start shooting at them.
Yeah, they weren't driving an ambulance somewhere else?
Yeah, they were driving an ambulance, and I guess they thought maybe there were Zeds, but there weren't.
Nah.
Didn't exactly give them a cavity search either.
I'm not going to go there.
Nope. Anyway, they then work out a way to kill the Zeds by using electricity going current through their bodies.
Yeah, they did something. The ground was wet, and they put some cable on the ground, and they set the power off. And this was a power station, a meatworks, wasn't it?
Sort of a power station. I'm not sure.
No, it was a big factory. It could have been a meatwork. I can't remember now. And they just set the electricity off through the mud, and it zapped them all. Fried zombies.
Yeah, fried dead. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if they zapped them all, because we don't see Thomas Matthews ever again in not even that scene. We don't see him, obviously, because he ends up chasing his girlfriend, and they kind of run into a chapel where he bites her head off, and she becomes willingly, obviously.
Yes, he wants to join him. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Quite different from the other one, where his girlfriend was chased around over and over until she gets into an attic, and then that's when the bomb head, blooms up the place.
Boom, 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 boom. Whatever.
Anyway, the next movie, which
number 3,
which is done in 1993.
Now, wait a minute. Produced by number 3. Okay. Produced by Lawrence Myers, Brian Usner, Gary Smoller, John Penny. I said this before, obviously.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
Brian Usner directed it, and John Penny wrote the screenplay.
Yes.
Ta-da.
So in this one, it takes place about, again, a few years later, and they just say that previously that a lot of zombie stuff has happened and stuff like that. And of course, in this one, they do have the containers, and they start experimenting on them, trying to figure out if they could weaponize the zombies.
Well, I think it's the idea all the way along the line. Excuse me. Sinuses. His father's a general, and he's in charge of this operation there, and which doesn't go according to plan, obviously.
Yeah. His father. So he and his girlfriend, they kind of sneak into the environment, obviously.
Well, yeah.
And there they witness them gassing a Zed, and unfortunately,
reanimating something, and this is really groovy.
And when they finally get satisfied with the results, they use a special ice gun to freeze it.
Yeah, something like an ice pellet, a bit like a cryogenic dart. You're aiming at them, especially the head, and when it goes off there, it sets a chemical reaction off, and in a few seconds, the head gets frozen.
Yeah.
So, no activity.
But the big problem is, it doesn't work really well.
No, it wears off pretty quick.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and they realize, oh well, back to the drawing board.
Yep. Next. Yeah.
Anyway, his dad wants to. He's going to be relocated because he's one of those. He's a general, so no doubt he has to move out from different bases in different places.
Yeah, his son doesn't want to go. He's sick of moving around. He wants to stay with his newfound girlfriend, and she's quite pretty.
Yeah, he plans on running away with her. Going to a band, maybe make a few bits of money, and maybe
Live happily ever after. However,
but something happens.
They were on his motorcycle, and they were behaving in an appropriate manner. I won't say what. And
then she dies.
They had a motorbike accident. They hit a pole, she hit a pole for head and broke her neck or something rather. She died.
Yes, so she dies. He goes back to the army base, and he gives her a sort of the same dose.
With the same chemicals.
With the chemicals. Of course, in this one, she is fighting the Z gene as much as possible, obviously.
Of course, she gets ravenously hungry, and she doesn't know what she's hungry for, and then she realises she wants, the good stuff. Meaty things. She's not a vegan in this one.
Of course, along the way, they kind of run into a bunch of nasty gangster guys, obviously, and they... after a scuffle where she bites one of them, and they want to take revenge on her and him.
Work, did it?
Yeah, they chase them. They go into a sewer, and
they didn't see the Ninja Turtles, do they? No.
I also should mention the military know where they're going. They're heading towards the sewer, and they follow.
Yeah, they're right, guessing them a little bit. Yeah.
This makes me think of the other movie I'm thinking of, the Them.
The giant ants. Remember that one back in the 60s or whatever it was? Yeah, big ants.
Yeah.
Eventually, really good.
Everyone who encounters her does eventually turn to a Z, and of course, along the way, she's piercing herself. All over the place.
Yeah, putting rings in and pieces of glass and pieces of metal for her skin. Of course, they've said the pain takes the craving of the food away from her. So
she doesn't want to hurt her boyfriend.
Isn't that nice?
We also meet a homeless man who helps them. He's a bit, wacky in the head, but he's okay.
But he's a nice guy, yeah.
Anyway, he helps them as much as he could, and eventually the military catch up to them, and of course both the gangsters turn all Z, and they decide to take them and the girlfriend back to the base to experiment on for their come
up to the lab and see what's on the slab. Yeah, pretty good. Hey,
of course, the boyfriend doesn't want this to happen to his girlfriend, and so he quickly, gets her out, and they're all the time. The rest of the Zeds, they start, fighting against their restraints and start attacking the medical officers and the army guys. Of course, our boy decides to take his girlfriend to the furnace, and he gets bitten too, and he dies, and both her and him die together.
They walk into the furnace, or lay down in the furnace,
and wait.
No, they're standing in the furnace, aren't they? Yeah. And they hug each other.
Yeah.
As they turn into crispy critters.
Yeah, and let me see. Those last two ones I mentioned are both by the same guys and the same location and same everything.
Now, 4 and 5 are both company jobs for TVs. Directed by, in both cases, Ellery Elkazam. And both were written by William Butler and Aaron Stragoni.
Yeah, I think these movies were done in the Ukraine.
Russia or Ukraine, somewhere over there,
Yeah, roughly there.
It was cheaper. Elvira did her movie over there, didn't she?
True.
In Europe somewhere?
In Europe somewhere. Anyway, so in that one, those two ones, they continue where they left off, where they keep mentioning, past zombie incidents, and in the beginning, there's a commercial where they talk about things like, oh, this is this laboratory, and we are all very, we take care of the zombie outbreak, blah, blah,
and
blah.
And we do all these things for everybody. We make all these good food products.
Make good fried chicken.
You know, like the Umbrella Corporation and Resident Evil.
Yeah, it makes me think of that.
Yes.
Folks.
The Umbrella Corporation. Well, it's another Umbrella Corporation.
Sort
just runs by a different name. Yeah.
And of course, there's a mad scientist who uses the special containers for his own usages, but
home use.
But by the but anyway, he even did the same thing to his own brother and his wife.
Actually, here it is. It was set 10 years later.
10 years later.
And the film starts with Charles Garrison travelling to Chernobyl in the Ukraine, the site of the nuclear disaster, to collect the last 6 canisters of this chemical. And 2 Russian soldiers take him to an empty power station, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Sarah told her a story, but yeah, it was actually in the Ukraine, and it was at Chernobyl.
True.
A real place.
True. Anyway, so eventually he takes back the canisters to his lab and starts experimenting non-extensively. And eventually we find out through his nephew, I think, finds out that he's taking bodies from the local hospital.
Yeah, a friend of theirs had a
unfortunate brain accident.
Yeah, he was on a motocross bike doing some stunts, and he fell off it, and he knocked himself out, and they took him to the hospital for checkup, and while he was still unconscious, and then he disappeared, and then they saw him on CCTV going into this compound.
Yes, meaning
alive, not dead.
That's a scary thought about that sort of thing when you think about it. People being forced, being volunteers for these things.
Well, someone's got to feed the zombies.
Gosh knows. Anyway, they eventually break into the lab, and eventually they try to break out their friend. Of course, they see some stuff that you would never believe, including some homeless guys who have sniffed up the chemicals that were leaking through a few pipes in the underneath the lab.
Yeah, some 2 homeless hobo. They got zombified.
Yes.
Shame. No, nice old guys they were.
Of course, the kids sneak through the pipes, obviously, and then they eventually come up inside the labs, and as they're exploring, they encounter some more Zeds along with and find out the truth about the laboratory itself. And we do lose a lot of people, including the kid's younger brother, who's like no more than a 12 or 13-year-old.
12 or 13 or 14.
And usually in these zombie movies, you never
get... Well, he was a precocious little brat anyway, so I think he deserved to go.
Yeah, I don't think the
But he helped. He had a little flamethrower.
He had a flamethrower.
He's a pyromaniac type kid, yeah, but he had a little flamethrower and everything, and... What a nice little boy. Everyone needs a hobby. Yeah.
Anyway, soon enough the army arrived and they blow the Zeds up. Well, not they blow them up. They actually just use their tank and just...
Yeah, they had a big tank in there going bang and stuff. And
we also discover his father and mother are also turned to Zeds. One of those militarized type Zeds.
Yeah, mechanised. They had an ectoskeleton on them, and they're plugged into some computer program as well. And they were the next level. They're the soldiers they want to make.
Yeah, the type.
And they were up on the 12th floor in the lab, weren't they?
Oh, yes. I don't know why his uncle experimented on his own brother and his own...
They had a car accident, but the bodies disappeared.
Yeah. Anyway, so then after that, the boy breaks down in tears after finding his friend was also accidentally shot by his zombified dad, who was...
Yeah.
He had one of those special militarized guns, or machine guns.
Like a machine gun type thing on his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Handy.
And his mother had this kind of buzzsaw, I think it's called,
like a buzzsaw on one of her hands.
On one of her arms, which makes me think of... They kind of resemble those creatures from Hellraiser. Wearing black leather outfits and shaved heads.
I've seen some of this on something else. I just can't remember.
That's okay.
Can't remember. Yes, there was some had a.
Yeah. The next one, obviously, it deals with the Russian guys trying to find the last canisters. So the scientist escapes and hopes to sell them to these Russian guys, and of course they try to test on some Zeds, or at least a couple of them, and didn't realize that how long the chemical may take to get into effect.
It takes more than 5 seconds. It might take 30 seconds or a minute or something. Yeah.
Depending on the person or how long they've been dead for. Who knows?
Are we in the last movie now?
Yes.
Okay.
And this one, the scientist guy, he gets killed off screen. We only see him get bitten. We assume he's dead.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Anyway, the scientist guys, they escape, obviously, and hope to find the rest of the canisters, even though we already got one in frame. Why can they just take that one and take it to them?
They want all of them.
Yeah. We then meet the kid again, obviously the same guy before, what's his name, Corey,
Erastus,
who is at college, and there he's trying to get his life back into order, obviously, and he finds out his uncle's dead. Yippee!
Whoopie-doo.
Well, he was practically. He
was not a nice man.
He goes to his family's home there, or barn, because it looks like a barn when I look at it. This next scene, where he finds this hidden room that belongs to his uncle.
A hidden room
where he kept
in the house.
all 3 canisters there. Obviously, I think it was free. Yeah, it was free.
Yep, somewhere 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he decides to take one back with him so he can run some tests with his friends.
What a
Don't know
boy.
why, considering the fact these things might have been the cause or root cause to the zombie outbreak in the previous movie, obviously. But he's a young kid. He only assumed that there was nothing in between that was happening that caused the zombie outbreak. So anyway, he takes it to them, and his friend sees this as a he finds out this stuff inside the canister is very addictive and kind of creates your brain, kind of curves your mind or brain stuff here in there. He gets one of his friends who's a bit of a stoner, to check it out, and he enjoys the stuff immensely. And of course they see money in this, but of course the guy says that he'll keep the canister overnight at the lab, but he's going to take it back in the morning, so he can show it to the media.
BS time, hey, yeah.
Show it to the media and get them to see what this laboratory has gotten up to. Of course, these guys decide to cash in by selling it as a drug narcotic to the college students.
Yeah, because one of the guys took it while there, and he went in a bit of a spasm, and he went almost like a zombie, and he woke up and said, "Hey, that was a buzz. Let's do it again." Yeah. So hey,
and
we can make money out of this. Yeah.
The drug Z. Like I call zombies, I call them Zs.
Zs.
Or Zs. Anyway.
Well, I wouldn't want a few Zs. I don't sleep very good.
So they sell it, it's success, and manages to get them a profit for a short time.
And they have this big party.
Yeah, there's this Halloween party. This is organized by their friend who's the drug addict. And while he's organizing it, we notice right away the effect of the drug. The more you take of the pill or the pills, the more it takes effect of your mind and body.
But actually, they made a mistake in this.
Okay, spill.
Well, the guy, the junkie who was in the laboratory, he took a dab. This is really good. And he didn't turn for quite some time. But the people at the party this night were taking the drugs and were turning pretty fast.
Well, I have a theory about that, Mike.
Okay.
That maybe off screen they have been taking it,
a couple of them,
like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one when they're not doing their studies. I'm only guessing because I never took on drugs. So, and not to mention there was a scene with a bunch of boys. They took, instead of just one pill, they took 3 pills, hoping to get a big result.
They didn't look at the warning on the packet, did they?
It managed to get their brains fried, and of course one of their friends, he only gets the small sliver of the side effect.
Because he had one pill.
It might just be that if you take one pill, the side effect won't take place until
it takes a while, a few hours maybe.
Yeah. Like what we saw in the first few movies, these people got a huge dose because they got sprayed in the face. And that could have affected them
in their lungs. Yeah,
and it might have taken effect for about an hour as well. This one would have taken a smaller dose, and would have taken either a couple of days or a day and a half to take effect.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
Depending on the
process, and if your stomach's full of food, maybe or
and
not.
It depends on I guess.
Don't drink on an empty stomach.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on the individual or how vulnerable they are.
Exactly.
I mean, most people often say the vulnerable you are, the most susceptible you can be to drugs. Anyway.
Whatever.
So while they also take the canister to another lab where his girlfriend uses the chemical and gives some lab rats, a dose of each one of the chemical.
And
guess what? They act all rabbit. They act all,
rabbit. Yeah, rabbit. Yeah.
They like their hearts are.
So Mr. Stinky bites his own on the hand. Naughty Mr. Stinky. Well, guess what? He infected. He's a owner, whatever, the lab guy. Yeah.
And you notice the effect in his hand.
The skin starts to pulsate after a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the girl also discovers what's inside the canister after the guy, he opens it and he presses the buttons, bang, 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 and soon enough it pops open, and then we see
Mr. Tarman.
Yes, a new Tarman, obviously, and we see the footsteps of the Tarman disappear off, and the girl realizes there was something inside that container. Whatever was inside it is now loose. And we find out much later what happens to him.
Well, we didn't know straight away. He was hiding somewhere.
Yeah. Later on, they discover what was wrong, what's happening with these pills, and they realize...
We've got to get them back.
Yes. The Russian guys I mentioned earlier, they are in search of the canister so they can bring it back to their superiors.
Yes. Now, the funny part is... They team up with the young people because they want to, for whatever reason, and then they go into the Halloween party, don't they?
Yeah, well, they come up with they just said that they're just people from working at the lab that his uncle worked in.
No, they didn't say they're from Interpol or something or other. Yeah.
Anyway, they gave them some weapons, little pistols,
revolvers and stuff. Where the agents had good guns.
Bought rifles, the big stuff,
repeaters,
the big good stuff.
Machine guns and stuff,
Anyway, they wear some costumes, which I think is so fucking weird.
Oh, they're wearing the suits. They got the party, and the young people said, "You can't get dressed like that. You look like from a narcotic squad." So they knocked out two girls dressed as what do you call them? Viking princesses.
Viking princesses.
So you had these two Russian spies dressed as Viking princesses. Oh, very nice. Yeah, right. But that worked,
Well,
they blended in.
They go in search of their friends, but then we notice that they're starting to resemble some parts. Some of the people start biting and eating each other and stuff like that. Others, they're still, abnormal-ish.
Normal-ish, yeah.
And they do discover their friends. Some have turned. Their druggy friend, he kept coughing a lot in the scene, which makes you think the thing he had earlier in the first day before is gradually catching up.
So that's why he would have taken more than one, and he's just...
He probably did take more than one.
And he's a bit slow on the uptake. Well, I don't know.
He's already a stoner, so he's probably vulnerable considering the fact he's also been probably taking other stuff too.
All the other drugs are counteracting it.
Yes.
Keeping him alive.
Eventually things start escalating ahead, obviously, and we notice people biting each other and more. It looks like an orgy more than a rave.
Now you're talking about Marshall the party.
Yes. And it's really graphic and gross, and eventually they start pulling out the guns and try to shoot them. I think that one of the guys even accidentally shot a
live person
civilian.
Walked in front of the zombie.
Yeah. And he says,
well, never mind. Oh, sorry.
He just hoped that he's already dead. Oh gosh. wishful thinking on my part.
You probably turnings. That's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, soon enough, it becomes more and more intense, and of course, they phone in the government, and of course, they say, "Oh, they have their own solution to this
We'll
problem.
help you. We'll fix up the problem."
Yeah, their actual solution: a helicopter comes in and starts shooting every single person. It doesn't matter if you're a Z; they shoot everyone.
Shoot first, ask questions later.
Of course, we hear on the radio they're planning on sending a missile to blow the whole area up. It's a great. It's I think it could be a memorial graveyard.
It looks a bit like a graveyard or a memorial.
It could be
sort
wrong.
of thing, yeah.
Because the place does look like an old graveyard.
Yeah,
there was some graves there that looked like they were not completely intact, but looked like they were really
but
tattered.
It could have been a memorial of plaques and stuff, and all the things there, and things like headstones there with who in memory of all these people who died in the war or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, luckily our heroes, they managed to get themselves, out of the way and saved, before they got attacked by the explosion, which I imagine it would have caused a lot more. Unless I'm not sure how big the impact would have been. It would have. If it was a very big one, they would have destroyed everything, obviously. Anyway, they soon survived, and they soon walk away, meaning they saved the world, saved some people. I'm not sure if there's still some pills out there, considering that most of the Zeds who didn't attend the rave were probably still roaming the university.
Probably.
And the current tar man, he's actually... trying to hitch a ride to the rave.
Yeah, you got
rave or bust.
Yeah, you got a piece of cardboard of rave or bust written on it. He's sitting there on and off during the later half of the movie, and in the end he throws the cardboard down, disgusted, and starts walking off. That's so cute.
Uttering the word brain.
Yeah. That was cute, rather cute, that. But a good ending.
Anyway, that's the franchise. From what we've seen so far.
It's not bad.
It's not too bad. Some of it's pretty good, some not so good. I like the twist.
I like it. Yeah,
I like
good
the
fun
twist
stuff.
And the gore is not too bad, and I like the interesting stuff here and there. So anyway, go for it. What's the reception? What was the reception on the first one? I would like to know.
Well, I mainly got the reception on the first one here. I'm not going to do all of them. Okay, here is an interesting conundrum here.
Okay, I'll hear it out.
No, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 91%.
Okay, 91%.
The consensus reads a punk tale on the zombie genre. Return of the Living Dead injects a healthy dose of 80s silliness to the flesh-consuming. Very nice.
Very nice.
It also nominated for 4 Saturn Awards, including Best Horror Film, Best Actor for James Karen, Best Director and Best Makeup Artist by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror Films.
Got it.
Now, this is the part that gets me. Robert Ebert, God bless him, our old fellow, he's passed away a couple of years ago, gave the film 3 out of 4 stars. Now, I didn't think he'd like this sort of film. But he says... It's a kind of sensation machine made out of the usual ingredients, and the real question is whether it's done with style. It is. So he doesn't like that sort of genre necessarily, but he thought they made a good show of it. So that's interesting. So
yeah.
Stephen Holden from New York Times called it a moderate punk comedy and stated that it is by no means the ultimate horror movie it aspires to be. So he thinks it's just running off the pack. So there you go.
That's relief.
Yeah.
And usually I don't listen to Robert's thoughts on movies.
No, it's good. Colin Greenland from White Dwarf stated that the movie sprawls shapelessly but comfortably, with plenty of gruesome jokes. So there you go. He liked it, sort of,
Yeah.
So it's one of those sort of things. I think I like it or not like it, depending on whether you like these sort of movies. So,
Yeah.
So there you go then, guys.
Mm-hmm. So you now know what to expect from the Return of the Living Dead.
It
I don't know
definitely
why
is a
they
comedy.
call it Return of the Evil Dead, because every time I hear that, I think it signifies that this is not the first movie that's been released. I'm guessing that's even what...
No, because it's referring back to Romero's Night of the Living Dead, so they call it Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That's about the only reason.
Another thing that comes to mind, it would be nice if they ever did if they did do another movie, they would make a prequel to how these creatures got into the canisters in the first place. And
that was part of the backstory. It was part of an experiment the military was doing to try and make a new sort of biotech weapon type thing, and it was put on hold, or the project was squashed for some reason or other, or
it would be
I
nice.
can't remember. Yeah,
it would be nice to see a bit of a prequel type story where it takes place many years ago, where it all started, and then that's why somehow the canisters either got misplaced or mailed to the wrong place, like in the first one. Maybe I'm only guessing because it doesn't make sense if a canister that belonged to the military would just somehow get shipped to a lab store,
put the wrong
in
box
the wrong place, unless it was someone wrote the wrong information on it.
You can't get good help nowadays, can you?
I'm only guessing because it sounds like there's a bit of a story there. Like,
okay.
Anyway,
Let me talk.
go on.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. The first one, the second one, and the third one. eBay has plenty for sale, and Amazon has it rentable and for sale. Now, 4 and 5. eBay can't find any listings. Amazon, 4 and 5 are rentable and for sale. Now, for those of you who like to add to your collection and buy things, be careful, especially the early ones. There are VHS copies out there too. Okay?
And no point in going on Tubi, guys. It may not be on there.
Well, no, you have a look around. You might find it in different places, streaming sites, but you may not too. So have a look around your favourite streaming sites and your favourite suppliers and whatever. But yeah, if Amazon and eBay got it, chances are it's somewhere else as well. So yeah, go for it and enjoy. I would suggest, if you're not really up to buying this sort of stuff, at least rent it out and have a bit of a giggle.
Yeah. I mean, you may enjoy it, you may hate it, you may have different opinions about it. I always thought the first one was pretty interesting, especially how you have all these survivors crammed in someone's basement or in their attic, waiting for someone to rescue them, and then you find out they got to just do what they normally do, blow the thing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought was a different twist on it. Destroying the zombies as long as the survivors. That way survivors will not be able to breathe a word, and the government will have a new menace to face eventually in the future.
There you go then.
I thought the ending was pretty cool, even though they used the same footage twice. Wouldn't you say, Mike? But I guess the guys wanted to have an epic, twisty ending for the scene, obviously.
Whatever. Anyway, here we go. Rating it. Drum roll.
Should we rate all of them or just all individually?
I'm going to rate the first one and also give a rating for the series. So I'll give 2 ratings.
Okay.
I think the first film. No, I'll do them together because I think as a series it works. I mean, different movies have different strengths and weaknesses, certainly. But as a whole, it does tell a whole story, a bit like the Star Wars movies. They go hand in hand. So I'm going to rate this as a 9. It's good fun. It's plausible. The storyline's there. It's not serious. If you're looking for a serious slasher movie, I wouldn't go anywhere near this because it's a comedy horror. If you like comedy horror, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I'm going to do it a little bit lower than that. So I like the gore, love the snappy jokes, and I didn't like it when the characters acted it's silly sometimes, but that's their charm.
It is a comedy.
In comedy
It's a
horror.
comedy.
So I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10 myself.
There you go.
I did like the creative side to the gore, obviously. It's a lot more fun when you think about it. And I like the fact when you have a... I like that in the first one, it had a good twist. Instead of being saved, you have everyone getting killed off, just like they did back in George A. Romero's day, where where the heroes don't survive, but die in different times, and you're left with no one left to care about in the movie. Even though I did like that the leading head guy in the Night of the Living Dead one, obviously, he seemed like a nice guy, and I feel bad that his career went to the dogs. Why? I feel bad that Ben didn't get any other roles after that movie. Ugh.
Oh, fair enough.
I feel sorry for him, poor man.
That's okay. Anyway,
Even though I did think he played an awesome role, and I like the fact that George gave it to him, obviously. Anyway, so you know our thoughts, you know where to find it, and you know, now it's up to you guys out there to actually watch the thing.
yeah.
I know I've been really brief in some of the scenes because some of the scenes are same, like, one person gets bitten, then they turn to a Z, and then vice versa,
But
and then etc., 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 etc.
It goes on, yeah. But
It's the same.
really, it's
It's the name of...
it's a zombie comedy. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, go for it, folks. Enjoy it.
Yes. Anyway, so that's it from us, guys. You know where to find us. We'll try to bring in some more new stuff along the way because I have my eye on another movie that I'm hoping to review shortly called Talk to Me. That's it. It's an Adelaide, filmed in Adelaide.
Yeah, a local Australian movie, yeah.
A local Australian movie, like we did last time. We did a local Australian movie that was done in Adelaide, I think.
No, what?
The Sissy one.
Wasn't it Canberra, I think?
Okay.
It was Canberra. I can't remember. Canberra or Adelaide, I can't remember. Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to review that next time, and we'll give you our food for thought on that next time.
Well, there you go then.
So that's it from us, guys. You know where we are. We're always on Boys and Ghouls, so you know where to find us.
Cool.
So this is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael.
saying see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now, and
See you,
see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.